Am I muted? No. Hi. Put the-
I didn't realize I was muted there. But
Oh, hi. I don't think I am, so no,
okay,
I'm not.
no, you're not.
Oh, yeah, so thanks for including me.
Absolutely. Happy to. In fact, I'm going to change mine up a little bit here.
I know I have to fix my lighting somehow, but
That's better.
is the company gonna
Company can
the company's
the
gonna be
company's
on
gonna be
now or
on now
no?
or no?
What did you say, Cassie?
So this isn't the company meeting, right? Or is it? Are they gonna be
It
on?
is. It's full. We're doing the kickoff and the company meeting.
Oh, good, good, good. No, that's great. I remember that. It makes it more real.
Does it? Yeah, good.
Well, for the students especially, because otherwise, yeah.
Otherwise, they're just jumping in to hear a little bit about a little bit, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. All right, there we go. I'm going to try to play this real quick and see how it works. All right. And I have to see if I can make the sound go as well. So I'm sharing my screen.
Hello and welcome to the start of this year's CFA Institute Research Challenge competition. My name is Rob Langrick. I'm Chief Product Advocate for
Side. The two ways.
All right. We the only ones on? No, there's some other ones on there.
All right. I was off for a second there. How's everybody?
Doing good. Peter,
Good.
doing good. Can you hear me, Andy?
I can,
Thank
absolutely.
you, sir. Good afternoon.
And I lost out for a second here. It looks like I'm logged in twice now. Let's see if I can still share. All right. I think it's going to work. All right. I think I can share my screen when it's time, so we'll get this done. I see a lot of people joining. This is great. I'm going to mute myself for a few more minutes until we get this started.
I was kind of going all out.
Has anybody been in there?
Be a person.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
well,
yeah.
the gal next door was in it.
Yeah, she was there.
And we had it probably for 2 or 3 months.
Well, but she was there before and moved to the bigger office.
Oh,
She was originally in it,
that's right.
and then she moved when that gal moved out. She moved up from there.
Yeah, I can go down.
It's been out on Facebook, like,
All right. Looks like everybody's here. Fantastic, folks. Glad you could join us. You can go ahead and mute if you'd like to. I'll just go ahead and introduce everybody. And we have folks from several different universities here. I know that DU, UCB, I believe UCCS. Yeah. We have, I believe we have UNC and we have CSU. I think we have Wyoming as well. And if I missed anybody, speak up and let me know. We might have a few other schools that will join us, or they'll be watching this recording later. So this entire thing is being recorded. And so you'll be able to watch this entire presentation later on. I'd like to introduce myself. I'm Peter Keilman. I'm the host of the CFA Research Challenge in Colorado, and for the Colorado Society, which includes both Colorado and Wyoming. I've been doing this for several years now, and I'm looking forward to another great year. We are always looking to improve and make some changes, and so we have a few of those in store for you today as well. With me, I have Shalin Patel, who is the Vice President of Investor Relations at Ibotta, our subject company for this year. I'll introduce him further in just a few minutes when we get to his portion. But I want to make sure that you all know that he's going to be watching this presentation with you for the first time. Some of the details will be perhaps new to some of the advisors and professors. But I think we've covered most of it in the past with the advisors. And so it'll just be a fairly useful presentation for you, because you're going to have a lot of questions answered for you. And you'll also get some links at the end so that you can follow up and register. Our registration is open now, by the way. I'll send out registration links at the end of this so that you can get started. But I'm going to go ahead and start with a couple of short videos. Let me get the slideshow going. And actually, let me pause and go back to this. I'm going to share my screen with system audio so you can hear this as well. And this slideshow should work. Let's see if it does. Yep, I think you can see that. And I'll start from the beginning. And here we go.
Peter, we can't see. I don't know if anyone else can.
Say that again.
We're just seeing your Zoom, I think your Zoom screen at the moment.
You're sharing the Zoom screen, not the page.
Thanks. Thank you. All right, let's try another screen then. I appreciate that. Let's try sharing from another screen. And I'm just going to play it as it is, as I can see it. Not as good a technology as I know that some of you will be showing.
financial professionals is for the ultimate benefit of our communities. And I think it's wonderful that we have teams here in this final today. This is an incredible competition. If you are in the last 5, I mean, what an incredible achievement that is. The winner of the CFA Institute Research Challenge Global Final is Ateneo de Manila.
All right. Yeah, it's not gonna work. All right. I'm definitely gonna try this technology one more time. Thought I could watch it myself and see what was going on with it, but that's not gonna work very well. Doesn't want to shut off. All right. So I know that your technology will work a lot better than mine does. And I'm going to show one more video here. And this is one from the CFA Institute itself. This is somebody who works on the local challenge or works on the local, all the local challenges. Actually, I believe he was a judge for the global finals last year. And this is a quick or a little bit longer of the video about what to expect. Again, I'll be sharing this.
Hello and welcome to the start of this year's CFA Institute Research Challenge competition. My name is Rob Langrick. I'm Chief Product Advocate for CFA Institute based here in lovely New York City. I'm a CFA charter holder myself and a huge supporter of the Research Challenge. In fact, I wish it had been around when I was a law student trying to break into finance. It's a remarkable opportunity provided to students looking for future careers in investment management and analysis. So what is the Research Challenge? It's an annual global competition that provides university students with hands-on mentoring and intensive training in financial analysis and professional ethics. You're going to be tested on your analytical skills, valuation skills, report writing skills, and presentation skills through the medium of a stock pitch. You'll all gain real-world experience as you assume the role of a real equity research analyst. Now, over the years, the Research Challenge has grown into the largest and most prestigious competition of its type, with over 1,000 universities participating around the world each year. So how does it work? It starts with in-person local competitions, which are organized and judged by the CFA Institute Society members and volunteers in your location who function as local hosts. The winning team from each local competition advances to the sub-regional competition, and the sub-regional and regional competitions are hosted by CFA Institute in the 3 regions of the world: the Americas, Asia Pacific, and Europe, Middle East, and Africa regions. There are on-screen events allowing as wide access as possible at this level. 2 regional winners from each of those 3 geographic zones I mentioned will travel to the prestigious in-person global final, where one of the 6 teams emerges as the global champion. Participation isn't easy. You'll be conducting a thorough piece of equity research of a company which has been selected for you. you'll be working as a team to create a formal research report and presentation and present it to a panel of industry experts. They're going to quiz you in detail, and the stiff competition from the other university teams competing. So it's a tough challenge, but extremely worthwhile because it simulates the real competition that plays out every day between equity research analysts around the world. So employers are going to be impressed with your extracurricular achievements, even if you only compete at the first stage, this local stage. You'll be able to talk at job interviews about team working, presenting, lessons learned, and becoming a standout candidate for graduate recruitment. Also, every participant receives a digital badge for their LinkedIn profile, so you can showcase that. Now, many CFA Institute charter holder members were former Research Challenge student participants who moved on to studying the CFA program as a natural next step after the Research Challenge. And in the CFA program, you go deeper on the tools and skills you've already begun to use in your report, skills such as industry analysis, ESG analysis, financial modeling, and absolute and relative equity valuation. Several years ago, before I joined CFA Institute, I sponsored the competition globally and have vivid memories of seeing the students compete. A particular group stands out. The group was from a Latin American country, and I was blown away by the quality of their research and caliber of their presentation. They went on to win the whole thing that year, and the Prime Minister of their country greeted them as heroes upon their return. Another year, in a Zurich final, I recall a global finalist quickly landing a job at Goldman Sachs after being on the winning team. So, your participation can open doors for you, and at a minimum, it's an indispensable icebreaker for your finance interviews once you participate at the local level, distinguishing you from the candidacy of others. As one of my favorite pieces of career advice goes, don't be better, be different. We wish you all the best with the challenge ahead, and we look forward to welcoming you soon as CFA program candidates and future members of CFA Institute. Good luck.
You're still on mute. You're still on mute.
So maybe that's sharing won't work so well. I'm going to try to share without the sound, and that should make the difference here. I'm also going to see if we can get that slideshow going. Now it's still not going to work for me. That slideshow keeps jumping on top of my other page. Ah, there we go. Got it. All right, now we can see the screen, right? You see the kickoff? And you can hear me as well, right? Perfect. Thank you, Andy. All right, so now let's get into the details of what it looks like to be a team in the Research Challenge. The first step is to form the team. We'll be talking about your advisor role, the mentor role. I'll talk about the written report that's due in January, the local presentation finals that'll be in February, and then the sub-regionals, regional semifinals and finals, and global final that'll be in April and May. Now, the first part is to form a team. There are 3 to 5 students per team, and I recommend that you designate a team organizer. This person is crucial to help you stay in contact with me or other folks like your advisor and your mentor. It's really nice to be able to have one central contact, and that person can often help you in designating and deciding for you, when with you, of course, as your team leader, who's going to work in what parts of the presentation and of the report that you're writing, as well as coordinate to make sure that it's all flowing together as one. So I do recommend that you pick somebody. I'll ask you to submit your resumes by November 10th. We'll be reviewing those. It doesn't have to be a very detailed resume. It's not going anywhere else other than just to me. We're just reviewing your eligibility to participate in the challenge. And then there'll be a registration by November 14th. So all that will be available to you in the very near future. I'll release that within the next day. Your advisor is the first crucial part of your team support. Your team advisor is a university professor. You probably already know who that's going to be, or you have a pretty good idea who that's going to be. The advisor is available for investment guidance, and they will be able to help out for a certain number of hours that's prescribed by the rules. So they'll have the information, you will as well. But that advisor, I recommend that you continue to talk to that advisor throughout the entire process, because the limited number of hours are only for the investment guidance part. There's actually no limit to how much your advisor can help out with the logistics, for example, of talking about where to go, what sort of resources you should be looking for, not investment resources, but other resources to help with the process. The second crucial person is your mentor. The mentor is going to be an investment professional from somewhere in the CFA Society region. Very often they'll be somebody who's really passionate about working with college students and young professionals, and they probably mentored in other areas as well, and they've probably done this before, perhaps even as a student, but certainly as a mentor. We're going to make those introductions in December, so you'll have a little bit of time just as a team and with your advisor before we'll introduce you to the mentor. I do recommend that you reach out early and often to your mentor. Doing the connection from the beginning is very crucial. It builds the relationship, first of all. It also is actually quite valuable to show your mentor your very early work, or even just your very first thoughts about the presentation and the report that you're writing. Don't be shy about it. That does not matter what it looks like. Having that conversations at the very beginning of the process will really benefit you. Again, they're available for investment guidance with limited hours. There's going to be a 10-page report that's due in January. And this is one of the first times we talk about what this commitment looks like. Of course, you saw in the video, but the majority of local level participants indicate that they do spend a significant amount of time doing their research and assembling their report. We do have examples of written reports. We have PDF reports of the past champion, both reports and their PDF of the presentation. So you will be able to get some good clues as to how to run or how to write these reports. Again, start talking to your advisor and your mentor as well. Do look at these links. You'll see the links at the end of this presentation, and I'll send them out separately as well. Then there is a local presentation. This final will happen in February. Typically, it's going to be on the February 12th to the 14th. Very likely, it's going to be on February 14th on Friday. So it'll be could be fun for folks who are single. Maybe we'll see. The majority of local level participants indicated again that they spent a lot of hours, 30 or more hours, practicing and assembling their presentation. And so that presentation happens after you've done your report. You're building upon your report and developing a full slideshow and presentation that you'll be doing live in front of judges, most likely in downtown Denver. You can see these presentations from other Colorado champions and global champions. Look on YouTube, and I'll send you a link to something where you can see some past Colorado participation or presentation finals. All right, so winning, what's it? How do you do it? The best overall team of the 7 or 8 teams that'll be in Colorado will advance to the sub-regionals, and they are awarded $500 per student as well. Now, the best undergraduate only team, if they're not the overall best team, will also be awarded $500 per student. So there could potentially be the best overall winner that wins it all, and perhaps at a school that has undergraduates only, or the team itself is comprised only of undergraduates, then they will also win a prize, but not advance. I'm happy to answer questions about that. Then the sub-regionals, regional semifinals, and finals. There's 3 different levels there. And a global final is the 4th level, will be in April and May. And so the local winner will advance to the subsequent levels. The global final is in Chicago in May, and all of the expenses will be paid for all of the competitors. The final 6 teams around the globe that attend the global final will have no cost to attend. Right. We do have some resources. You can take a look at these links later on. I'll send them over to you. The rules, success tips for your preparation, and some videos. All right, so now I'm going to do some Q&A, and this will be about the rules, the presentation, anything else that you have questions about. And I'll jot down some notes and get back with you if I can't answer the question right away. But feel free to shoot me a question.
Peter,
Raise your hand
Andy?
or to speak up. Yes, Andy?
Yeah, Peter, is the written presentation, is it 50-50 like it was last year, 50% written and oral?
Good question. I think it's possible that we might go over that number of students that are going to the total number of teams that we had last year. Last year we had 7 teams. We might go over that. However, the basic scoring is 50-50, and we will notify you soon about what that scoring looks like. But generally speaking, the scoring is 50% written, 50% for the final.
Sometimes we have scores to the local. After that, it's all presentation, correct?
We've done the all presentation in the past, but the 50-50 is what we're shooting for this year.
Yeah. After the local, though, like the sub-regionals, I think at that point, it's all presentation, correct?
That's right. Thank you for clarification.
Yeah, thank you.
Going forward in future presentations, the written report does not count. It is not part of your future competition levels. It's all presentation.
Thanks.
Mm-hmm. Any other questions? All right.
Peter, I think there was one on the chat. Sorry about that to interrupt.
Thank you. Appreciate it, Andy. Is there a time limit expectation for the presentation? Yes, there is. The presentation itself is 10 minutes, followed by a 10-minute Q&A. And then there's a break for the next team that goes, but you can expect 20 minutes total for your team at that presentation. 10-minute presentation, 10-minute Q&A.
Peter, I think you should add or want to add that. So this is it's blind. So the teams that haven't presented yet are segregated, right?
Mm-hmm. That's right. So one of the things we do is blind the presentations so that the team that goes first is not being watched by any of the teams that haven't gone yet. And not only that, but we blind it in a sense of the judges themselves don't know what school you're actually at. We don't announce that. You don't present that in your presentation as well. It's a way to level the playing field so that all teams, regardless of what a particular judge might think about a school, does not matter. Judges will not know. And for that matter, nobody will know during the entire presentation or during the written report part either what school you're actually at. You're just being identified by perhaps your own pictures, your own names.
I have a quick question about company selection. So is this sort of like a you are dealt the hand that you get kind of thing? Is every team going to be doing like an IPO analysis? Well, could you be willing to go into sort of company selection and how that process works?
I will, absolutely. Shalin, is the investor relations vice president at Ibotta. And Ibotta is the subject company for all of the teams in the CFA Colorado region. So everybody will be doing Ibotta. And we pick every year, the CFA Colorado picks one subject company that everybody works on, so that everybody is, when they're doing their presentation, it's equal playing field where everybody gets to see where the best analysis comes from. Whether a particular team is doing more deep dive into that particular company is more readily apparent, and it's not based on how much information is available to perhaps one company has more information available publicly than another. Everybody has the same amount of public information available to them. You might wonder, well, what does it mean for the sub-regional, regional, and global competition? Well, in that sense, it is different teams. But to make sure we're clear, everybody's doing the same team at the local competition, but then of the hundreds of local competitions around the globe, each local competition winner who advances now is competing with that same subject company, like here in Colorado, it's Ibotta, against another team somewhere else in the region or globe with their local competition team. So you might see airlines and manufacturers, financial firms, all of those throughout the course of the competition. You don't see them, the judges do, at these higher levels. So at a higher level, the judge is seeing multiple different subject companies. But you will be with the same subject company throughout the entire process, all the way up to the global final if you make it that far in Chicago. Does that help, Devin?
Yeah, it was more like at the global level and at the regional level. Are other like international teams also going to be working with recent IPOs or companies with limited information, or at that point it's just sort of whatever you get is what you get kind of thing?
Yes. Now, it is this year. It's a company with a recent IPO, but last year it was definitely not. It was Walmart as our subject company in Colorado. So every year it depends on who we select at the CFA Colorado level as far as what the subject company is going to be. So yes, you're going to see companies that have been around for 100 years in some cases, and judges will recognize that every company that you're actually doing work on a company that is different than all the other teams that they're judging.
Okay, got you. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. All right.
Hey, well, hello, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here with all of you, and I'm honored that the CFA Society of Colorado chose Ibotta as the Research Challenge company this year. As Peter mentioned, my name is Shalin Patel, and I'm Vice President of Investor Relations here at Ibotta. I spent the majority of my career on Wall Street, nearly 20 years, with most of those years as a public markets investor working for several different hedge funds in New York and then later here in Denver. So I think I bring an interesting perspective to IR, having spent so many years on the other side of the table. I'm very excited to be here today to tell you more about Ibotta and walk you through the business and financial model. I've got some slides here that I'll plan to walk through. Let me just share my screen. See if I can manage that. Is that showing up for folks? Does it show up as
It is.
The cover page of the presentation?
It absolutely is, Shalin.
Okay, great. Okay, yeah. So first, the fun stuff. This is an obligatory disclaimer. I'm sure you can all read this. I'm only going to be presenting on public materials, but nonetheless, there may be some forward-looking statements that I make that are contained in the presentation. In addition, I will be referring to certain non-GAAP metrics within this presentation, which I would encourage you to read in conjunction with our GAAP metrics. In general, because we report Q3 earnings in just 2 weeks, my comments will largely be contained to historical numbers and how the business model works. I'll be happy to talk a bit more about our outlook during the Q&A session in December, assuming that my child has not arrived. If so, it'll be probably our CFO or someone else from our finance department answering those questions, but they'll be able to go into more about our outlook then. But I will avoid touching on that topic today. Moving to slide 3, Ibotta is a tech company based here in Denver that is the largest digital promotions network in the world. So we work with consumer packaged goods companies like Coca-Cola, Kellogg's, Anheuser-Busch, just to name a few, to help them intelligently promote their products to 200 million consumers through our network. The company was founded in 2012 in downtown Denver, has more than 800 employees, and went public on the New York Stock Exchange in April this year. A few more just statistics for you. Company's market capitalization is approximately $2.5 billion. Wall Street estimates call for us to generate nearly $400 million of revenue this year and grow our non-GAAP revenue by approximately 22%. We're also highly profitable, with sell-side research analysts modeling EBITDA margins north of 30% this year. We operate a three-sided marketplace with brands, retailer partners, and consumers. The brands, or consumer product goods companies, also known as CPGs, and how I will be referring to them, are our actual clients. They are the advertisers who actually pay us to run their promotions. The retailer partners, or publishers as we call them, are our distribution partners for the advertisements. And the consumers are who, of course, ultimately redeem our promotions or offers. On slide 4, you can see that we operate in a very large market. U.S. consumers spent approximately $1.2 trillion in the grocery sector in 2023. CPG brands compete fiercely to influence consumer spending habits, spending approximately $200 billion on marketing annually in the United States. In fact, no other industry spends more on marketing as a percentage of overall budgets than CPG. We are one form of advertising that CPGs use in that $200 billion pile, in addition to linear TV, streaming TV, out-of-home print, social search, brand ambassadors, paper coupons, etc. In addition, you can see that 87% of grocery shopping happens in store. This is an important point and unique to grocery that makes it hard for digital advertising mediums such as Google or Facebook or Instagram to be connected to the actual purchase and get credit for attribution. As an example, you can search for a hotel in Denver on Google. Booking.com buys the search term hotel in Denver in an auction and then serves you an ad. You then click on that ad and go book that hotel. The click-through rate and the conversion rate are highly modelable. The transaction has perfect attribution. Booking knows with precision how much to bid for those search words. If Heinz ketchup advertises on Instagram, it mostly functions as brand advertising, similar to a TV ad, since you aren't going to click on that link and purchase ketchup then and there. You may or may not be influenced by that Instagram ad, but the attribution link is highly tenuous. An assessment of that ROI, or return on investment, of that ad spend is a function of highly imprecise and theoretical modeling. This is important when thinking about the role that something like Ibotta, which is pay per sale and can be deterministically tied out to a purchase, plays for CPG marketing spend. You're not paying for impressions. You're not paying for clicks. You can know real time how well it's going to totally deterministically without any sort of modeling. On this slide, you can see that our first product was actually a free mobile app that allowed consumers to earn cashback rewards on everyday purchase in the grocery store. Previously, consumer packaged goods companies did not have a reliable way to efficiently promote their products directly to millions of consumers via a single mobile application that worked across multiple retailers. The way this works practically is that you would select which store you were shopping at. In my local grocery stores are Sprouts and King Soopers, for example. So I'll click on one of those in the app. You then see whether there are any offers you wanted to select. You can either scroll through the app and see what offers are there, or you can search for a search term You want cereal, but you don't know what kind, so you search the category cereal, or you might know what brand you want already. Search for that. Let's just say you search for the category. You see there's a 50-cent back promotion on Honey Nut Cheerios, so you click that offer. You then check out. For some retailers, 85 of them actually in total, we are integrated into their POS systems or point of sale systems. Sprouts, as I mentioned, is one of them, which is my local grocery store. My Sprouts loyalty number is linked up in my Ibotta app. So when I go to check out at Sprouts, I just type in my phone number at the checkout to identify myself, and then Ibotta automatically credits me the 50 cents in my Ibotta wallet. For other retailers where we don't have a POS integration, i.e. King Soopers, for example, I would just take a picture of my receipt after I purchase, and then the 50 cents would be dropped into my account. Over the years, we've grown the Ibotta app to over 50 million registered users, and American consumers have earned over $2 billion in cashback rewards. Our direct-to-consumer properties, which is what we refer to this as, have since expanded to include our website and our web browser extension. In addition to generating revenue, Ibotta's direct-to-consumer or D2C products are strategically important to us because they allow us to experiment with new kinds of AI-driven promotional techniques. They also help us attract a much larger quantity of cross-retailer national offers than our competitors, and they form the backbone of our unique data set of cross-retailer item-level purchase data that can be then tied out to millions of individual consumers. We started by introducing a success-based business model for CPG brands. For the first time, instead of paying for impressions, clicks, clips, or prints, CPG brands could pay on a fee per sale model, meaning only when our campaign led to a verified sale of their product. And instead of needing to reimburse retailers for the discounts they provide at checkout using some antiquated coupon clearinghouse, we paid the consumers digital rebates that went straight into their PayPal accounts without the retailer needing to discount the product at all. However, beginning in 2020, we realized that while our CPG brand clients loved our pay-per-performance model, in order for them to view us as a primary pillar of their marketing strategy, they needed us to really deliver them with quite a bit more scale. To achieve this, we took the tech underpinning of our direct-to-consumer products and then turned it into the foundation of what we now call the Ibotta Performance Network, or the IPN. So the IPN is the first of its kind tech platform that allows CPG brands to distribute their digital promotions to tens of millions of American households in a coordinated way. Through our network, marketers can reach consumers on a variety of different websites all at once, and they can manage their campaigns through a single interface called the Ibotta Partner Portal. Our cloud-based technology allows us to ingest and process vast amounts of cross-retailer item-level purchase data. The valuable data set that we have powers our proprietary AI models and helps us put the right offer in front of the right consumer at the right time. On the bottom row here, you see publishers. Each content distribution point or node on our network is called a publisher. And as you can see on the bottom left box there, our original D2C app, which I walked through on a couple slides earlier, is now one of many publishers on the IPN. We also have a variety of third-party publishers that hook up to Ibotta's network for really a couple of reasons. First, to gain access to Ibotta's unique selection of digital offers, and second, to leverage our AI-enabled offer delivery technology and analytical tools. Partnering with Ibotta helps publishers build loyalty with their consumers, grow their basket sizes, increase trip frequency in their stores and on their websites, all at no cost to them. These third-party publishers now account for the majority of our offer redemptions on our network. Our largest third-party publisher is Walmart, which relies on Ibotta to deliver digital manufacturer offers that appear on Walmart's website in a white label fashion, website or app. And that means consumers can earn Walmart cash regardless of how they shop, whether it's in-store or online, and without needing to create any kind of Ibotta account. Ibotta has an exclusive relationship with Walmart, meaning that for all categories of products, we are the only company that manufacturers can use to deliver item-level promotions on Walmart's digital properties in the US. Walmart's program rolled out to 100% of consumers with the Walmart.com account last year, and the program has grown steadily since then. We continue to work closely with our counterparts at Walmart to prioritize the initiatives that we believe will help grow redeemers and redemptions per redeemer as quickly as possible, there's still a lot of things we can do to optimize those sorts of processes. In addition to Walmart, we also powered the digital loyalty programs for other leading retailers such as Dollar General, Family Dollar, Schnucks, which is a Midwestern retailer, and we most recently announced our partnership with Instacart in August. Our team is constantly working with each of these publishers to help them improve their loyalty programs, add more redeemers, and grow redemptions per redeemer. The way this works for a consumer is that when you either open up the Walmart or Instacart app in the future soon on or their website, you're able to clip coupons in the same way you would on the Ibotta app itself. You won't see Ibotta mentioned anywhere. It is white label, as I mentioned. Instead, it basically shows up as Walmart Cash. You'll either start from a main offer gallery where you can see all the offers that you have, or you can search by brand or category in the same way you would when I was describing how you might do it on the D2C app. You basically, in the same fashion, would select the cashback offer on a product you want. You then check out. Walmart automatically drops the 50 cents on that prior example, Honey Nut Cheerios, into your Walmart Cash account, rather than it being the Ibotta wallet that you'd have on the Ibotta app. So relatively similar sort of process, but quite a bit less frictionful since you don't need to scan a receipt or anything like that. The next slide just shows our broader Ibotta ecosystem. We've got more than 2,400 brands today, something like 800 actual companies promoting their products on the IPN. I mentioned briefly earlier that the publishers we have live today or we have signed in the process of implementing, i.e. Instacart. We have communicated that we intend to continue to grow the publishers on our network. Our network benefits from powerful flywheel effects. The more offers we source from CPG brands, the greater value we're able to deliver for our consumers, and the more likely that they continue to engage with and recommend our offers to friends. The more consumers engage, the more investments we receive from CPG brands who are eager to influence that greater spending power of that audience. In addition, as retailers make offers easier to redeem, more consumers use them, which in turn attracts greater investments and offers from CPG brands, which ultimately results in more consumers using that retailer's loyalty program. So it's a kind of couple of multiple virtuous cycles in effect. This next slide shows a snippet from our partner portal, where CPG brands can see how their campaigns are doing in real time. This is a snippet from earlier in the year. We're making significant changes to this, which we expect to roll out to partners over time, which will show much more granular data on campaign payback and incrementality. This next slide shows and provides a graphical representation for an important concept in CPG marketing, which I think it's worthwhile to pause on and spend a little time talking about. It's helpful when trying to understand the industry structure, but also in understanding the value that Ibotta brings to the ecosystem. So zooming back out for a second, of the $200 billion of CPG marketing spend that I referred to earlier, approximately half of that sits on the right-hand side of this chart. And it's what is known as retailer-specific dollars, also known in the industry as trade dollars. And these dollars are typically sourced out of the chief revenue officer's organization within a CPG company. If you're looking on General Mills, as an example, financial statements for these dollars, you won't find them because they're actually treated as a contra revenue account and netted against General Mills' gross revenue. So the net revenue that General Mills in this example would report is net of these trade dollars. Generally speaking, this will be about 10% of gross revenue. I'm somewhat generalizing there, but these are dollars that Kellogg's or Kraft or whatever CPG brand CPG company we're talking about specifically negotiates with each retailer. The retailer then can take those dollars and do different things with them. They can give Kraft, in this example, a better position on the planogram, the really desirable shelf space. They can put the products on an end cap of an aisle so that they're prominently displayed. They can market those products in their weekly circular. They can run a temporary promotion, buy one, get one off, $1 off, whatever it is, that's funded by those trade dollars. If it's an online transaction, they can do what's known as sponsored search, right? So that Kraft's products show up first when you search for shredded cheese. the online version of better shelf space. Or they can do nothing. They can just take those trade dollars, put them in their pocket, and keep the prices high. You can imagine that a buyer at Kroger or Target or any retailer has two competing objectives. One is to get the lowest price possible from Kraft on the product, but two, to also maximize the amount of trade dollars they get from Kraft. If Target asks for lower prices for a product, Kraft will usually achieve that goal by increasing trade dollars rather than actually lowering the price. They work sort of against each other to achieve whatever profit objective the supplier or the brand is solving for. If Target wants more trade dollars, they say, hey, Kraft, give me more for this shredded cheese. Kraft will give more trade dollars for one product, but probably reduce it elsewhere or raise the price, right? The point is that there are finite retailer-specific dollars that retailers can extract from their suppliers, which makes sense. If you squeeze in one place, it moves from one part of the tube of toothpaste to another part of the tube. There's still the same amount of toothpaste in the tube. The other $100 billion of marketing spend sits on the left-hand side of this chart, or what's called national marketing dollars or national budgets. This is what shows up in the sales and marketing expense line item on General Mills' income statement. These dollars usually come out of the chief marketing officer's organization within a CPG and are usually used to achieve some national marketing objective that the brand has. These dollars go to a variety of places, but they're usually spent on linear TV, streaming TV, print, billboards, sponsorships, i.e. the formerly known as Pepsi Center, brand ambassadors, social or search, paper coupons, right, which used to go out with frequency, and still do, but less people use them every weekend. And then digital coupon programs like Ibotta and like Fetch. This is where we source our advertising dollars from. This is an important distinction because it also helps one understand why Ibotta serves an essential function for retailers that they can't accomplish on their own. While we have great tech, we're doing some really cool stuff with AI, and we have great relationships with all the brands and CPGs, Walmart and Instacart are very, very large, sophisticated organizations that also have big tech organizations. They also have CPG relationships because they source product from those companies, right? What we bring to retailers is that we bring a platform which allowed their consumers, i.e. Walmart's consumers, to get incremental savings from national budgets that the retailer couldn't procure themselves. Because if they did, it would be retailer-specific dollars that would count against their finite pie of trade dollars. So we make it possible for consumers to seamlessly utilize these national marketing dollars to lower the price of a product they purchase at Walmart at no cost to Walmart. And it's actually better than that because from Walmart's perspective, those savings that are funded by the manufacturer, not by Walmart, get put into the customer's Walmart cash account, which means they then get recycled into more Walmart purchases. You could take those 50 cents you got off Honey Nut Cheerios and go buy a garden hose or go buy fertilizer or go buy a toy, right? It doesn't have to be grocery. And from the CPG's perspective, we're able to add value to them because one, we have unparalleled scale, but two, and more importantly, because we have an incredibly rich first-person data set, which we can use to both target and then measure attribution and return on investment with incredible granularity. The holy grail for brands is to measure what kind of incremental sales and profit they're getting for each dollar of marketing they're spending. This is very, very hard to do. Our item level purchase data allows us to capture that and demonstrate why each dollar spent on the IPN is a good use of their incremental marketing dollar. In addition, because we can target consumers, we can reduce or minimize subsidization of consumers that would have already bought your product, something that brands hate. If you already spent $3 a month on Pepsi, and I started giving you 75 cents off, and you didn't buy any more Pepsi with that, now you just spent $2.25 instead of $3, then that would be bad. Not for you, but for the brand's perspective. What we want to do, what we try to do, is figure out what is the appropriate consumer reward that will get you to increase your Pepsi purchases from $3 a month to $5 a month or whatever it might be. Right? there's a real flywheel in the business, or multiple flywheels in the business, which I discussed earlier, which create this network effect and sort of results in a winner take all or winner take most dynamic in this industry, in our view. But there's also another practical reason why you might only want one ibotta out there from a CPG's perspective. We can sit in the middle of a network and function as an air traffic controller, preventing the stacking of offers. If we're coming up with these carefully constructed campaigns to make sure that the ROI of a campaign is attractive to a CPG by convincing one of you to buy a new Mountain Dew flavor so that you would all trial it and then decide to become a full paying customer in the future, the CPG itself doesn't want to throw that math off by allowing you to go redeem that offer at Walmart, at Amazon, at Target, on their D2C app, etc. The economics of the actual promoted transaction are just okay for the CPG. What it wants is for you to trial it, right? Once or twice on promotion, and then go keep buying it full price eventually later. If you didn't have a single network administrator, so to speak, or air traffic controller, the concept of anti-stacking would not really be possible. Slide 14 shows how we think about our growth drivers over time. Our biggest opportunity for growth is to continue to grow our redeemers, as we call them, on our existing publishers. In our last quarter, we talked about approximately 12 million redeemers on our third-party publishers. That meaning not on our D2C platform, but just within our third-party publishers like Walmart and Dollar General, et cetera. There are over 100 million shoppers at Walmart alone. In addition, we anticipate that we will continue to add new publishers to the platform. Instacart was the most recent example. We announced that win in August during the third quarter with plans to go live before the end of the year. We also plan to expand into new publisher categories. So to explain this for a second, we have slowly been expanding outside of grocery in terms of the types of offers we provide. Think toys, pet, household goods, a variety of other items that we think of as general merchandise. If you open up the Ibotta app, for example, you'll see, discounts for Legos and, pet food and all sorts of stuff that are not traditional grocery. So we've started the process of adding inventory from these other categories. Once we get a critical mass of inventory or offers in these other non-grocery categories, we become a much more attractive partner for non-grocery publishers themselves. So instead of it just being Walmart and other grocers, you can imagine someone like a Chewy or a PetSmart or a Best Buy. I'm not saying that those are going to be future publishers we're going to have or saying anything like that. I'm just saying that you can imagine moving to other categories of publishers once you build up the offer content, right? From a CPG side, we are focused on adding those offers. So we look to continue to add to the size of the budgets we're getting from our existing clients. That means, expanding into brands within the portfolio of companies we already work with, where we're not serving those brands today. We're only serving some portion of their portfolio. Also, just increasing the absolute dollar size of the campaigns we're running. In a lot of ways, the more demand we have on our network, meaning redeemers, the bigger the supply, which follows that, which is an amount of advertising dollars we capture. And then lastly, while we have most of the large CPG companies on our platform, there is a very long runway to add long tail of emerging brands to our platform. So we hope to kind of keep continuing to add new clients. Then there's just a separately kind of a broader opportunity to continue to enhance the technology in the IPN, improve continuous improvement with our AI and targeting capabilities, with our measurement capabilities, our client analytics tools, all of which makes it easier for our clients to do business with us and to allocate more dollars to our channel. This is just an overview page of some of the things we've spoken about. Specifically, a few other points that are on here, which I didn't make. Very high retention with our clients. We reach a large number of consumers. And we have integrations on the D2C side with 82, 85, something like that, retailers. I'm just going to go now through a sort of a brief walk through some elements of our actual financial model, which hopefully will make some of the points I made during the business overview a little more tangible and clear. So this slide just walks through a hypothetical or illustrative example of an actual redemption on our network. For in this example, a $5 average MSRP item, there might be a $1.30 consumer reward or offer. That's what the consumer will see either on the D2C app or on the Walmart app or whatever. We charge roughly on average 80 cents for our redemption fee. In general, redemption fees, the amount we charge is linked up in different MSRP bands. So if it is a lower MSRP price product, i.e. a bottle of Coke, there'll be a lower fee associated with that. If it is a much more expensive item, i.e. a big bag of pet food that has a $20 MSRP or higher, you'll see a higher fee. It's basically a fee band tied to MSRP. The consumer offer, however, can and oftentimes today at least is a choice driven by the brand. So we may help them in designing that, but it's usually their choice to say, well, I'm going to offer X amount of reward to the consumer. Over time, and we've discussed this, we are sort of trying to transition our brands from thinking about it in more of us doing the campaign setup. They tell us their goals. We tell them, well, this is the amount of what the consumer reward should look like in order to drive the incrementality and the ROI they're looking for. That's still sort of a journey and a process. And so just to wrap this up, the $1.30, which is the consumer offer, the 80 cent per redemption, adds up to $2.10 as example. That's the invoice that goes to the CPG brand. That's entirely funded by the brand itself. In this example, the consumer would go to Walmart, pay $5 for the laundry detergent. The brand will pay $2.10. Of that, $1.30 will pop up in the Walmart as Walmart cash in the Walmart cash account of the consumer. 80 cents will show up as our actual revenue in what's known as, in our disclosures, you'll see the term redemption revenue. That will be our redemption revenue that's recognized as revenue. This is a graphical representation of our key performance metrics and how they sort of fit together. We report all of these key performance metrics, redeemers, redemptions per redeemer, total redemptions, and redemption fee, all adding up to redemption revenue. If you go to our IR site, obviously you'll see plenty of information that has our quarterly financial reports. With each quarterly earnings report, we also publish an earnings supplement, which has the trended schedule. So you can see all in one spot what the KPIs and what the various different financial metrics are quarterly, starting from the first quarter of 22 all the way until today. If you go there today, it'll be through the second quarter of 2024 because that's all we've reported publicly. If you go there after November 13th, it'll be through the third quarter of 2024. So it'll be 11 quarters of data. But just to walk through this very quickly, redeemers are the number of unique redeemers in any quarter. That's how it's reported. So it's a person that will redeem an offer at least once uniquely in any quarter. In the third quarter, as an example, we had close to 12 million third-party publisher redeemers and a little bit less than 2 million D2C redeemers. You add those up, that's our total redeemers. We do break all of our metrics out individually for third-party and direct-to-consumer. Then redemption per redeemer is obviously a frequency metric, right? So there's different frequency for third-party and direct-to-consumer, which I'll talk about in a little bit. But on average, across our entire network, each redeemer will redeem in the quarter 6 to 7 times. So that means that they'll be, actually redeeming an offer 6 or 7 times per quarter. If you take the redeemers times the frequency number of redemptions per redeemer, you multiply those together, you obviously get total redemptions. If you take total redemptions and multiply it times our fee per redemption, which on that hypothetical laundry example was 80 cents. That also, by the way, is not that far off of our third-party redemption fee. That is then equal to redemption revenue. This page, again, breaks it down a little bit more. We basically have 2 revenue line items. One is redemption revenue. I just walked you through the math of that as to how that's calculated. The other piece is ad and other revenue. You'll see that in the second quarter, which was our last publicly reported quarter, 84% of our total revenue was from redemption revenue. Of that, 47% of the total revenue came from our third-party publisher properties. 37% came from our direct-to-consumer properties. So at this point in time, you can already see that the majority of our redemption revenue is coming from our third-party publisher properties. We haven't spoken about ad and other revenue, so let me just take a second to talk about that. That was 16% of our revenue in the second quarter. That is going to be display or banner ads that exists within our direct-to-consumer properties. So if you go to the mobile app, you open up the Ibotta app right now, you'll see some banner ads there. Those will be for products, whoever chooses to advertise, right? It's a typical display ad. It's usually going to be for grocery and CPG, but not always. It can be for other areas as well. It's not performance linked, right? So it's not like you can click and redeem. It's literally just a display ad. And that is 16% of our revenue. What we have said publicly is it's not the most core part of our business, right? And that business is sort of not kind of what makes the IPN special, right? It's a little bit more of a commoditized ad product that you can find anywhere, sort of on the open web. It used to be a larger percentage of our business historically because the D2C business was a larger percentage of our business. As third party, which is obviously our strategic growth engine, grows, it'll continue to shrink and become a smaller and smaller part of the total. I'm next going to walk through a few slides that just go through some of our second quarter earnings numbers, because this is what we have reported publicly. I'll walk through some nuances, explain some of the factors that drove our reported earnings. I'll just note that, as I mentioned earlier, you might find the supplemental schedule helpful because it has all of the quarters laid out in one place, and you can sort of see it all together instead of having to pull up the individual reports all independently. Of course, we also only have, certainly as of today, only 2 publicly reported quarters, the first and second quarters of this year. In 2 weeks, as I mentioned, we'll also have our third quarter. But the supplemental file will be helpful and easy as you're sort of trying to work through a model and fill out kind of what the numbers are. As you can see here, our total revenue growth in Q2 was 29% on a non-GAAP basis. Our adjusted EBITDA margin was 29%. Let me just take a second here to explain this concept of this shaded area called one-time benefit. It also ties into this metric of non-GAAP revenue, which is atypical. This relates to an issue in 2023, which I will take you through in 1 second. But the key thing to note here is that it was driven by a one-time revenue benefit that we got in 2023, which will not repeat, has not repeated in 2024, will not repeat going forward. So once we lap 2023, excuse me, starting with the first quarter of 2025, you will stop seeing these metrics referred to as non-GAAP revenue, one-time breakage costs, etc. So let me take just a second to talk about what this is. You'll see $9.4 million in the second quarter of 2023. There's a schedule on the last page here of this presentation, but also on the last page of all of our earnings presentations, which basically talk about what this is. We had a one-time revenue benefit in 2023, just to walk through really quickly what that means. We charge consumers a maintenance fee if they're not using their account on the direct-to-consumer properties. So what we discovered in 2023 was that we were not properly accruing for that revenue benefit that we get for that maintenance fee. And so we took a one-time benefit to recoup some of the redemption fee, breakage fees that we had not been recognizing. This related to prior periods, which is why it is one-time in nature. It was basically a catch-up. And so you will see that for comparison purposes, when we talk about what our revenue growth is, what our EBITDA would have expanded by, we exclude it from the prior year's number purely to give people an understanding of what the underlying year-over-year change in the business is. So I just want to be clear about exactly what that is. This will go away after the fourth quarter because we stopped lapping it. Again, this is only within our D2C redemption revenue. There's more discussion of this in our filings. So if you're confused, please read this last appendix slide and please look through our filings to get a better understanding of it. So with that said, our revenue on an underlying basis grew 29% in the second quarter. Because also all that breakage revenue had no cost associated with it. It was 100% incremental revenue margin. It obviously also helped our EBITDA. So on a like-for-like basis, our EBITDA margins actually expanded by 900 basis points from 20% to 29%, reflecting obviously very high incremental margins in the quarter. This next slide walks through our revenue in a little bit more detail. As you can see on the left-hand side, as I mentioned previously, our total revenue growth on an underlying basis grew 29%. Within that, you'll see two different trends. Redemption revenue itself grew 51%, right? That is the 84% of total revenue that I described earlier. Our ad and other revenue declined 27% year over year. Within redemption revenue, double-clicking on that for a second, you'll see that there's two different trends going on within there. The direct-to-consumer piece declined 13% year over year. The third-party publisher business grew 255% year over year. That resulted in total growth of 51%. Now, we break out direct-to-consumer and third-party for people to understand exactly what's happening there, but you will see volatility, particularly in the direct-to-consumer side. What we have said publicly is that obviously the core growth engine for our business is the third-party publisher business. Yet we hope to kind of keep the D2C business sort of flattish to growing modestly. It did decline in the second quarter. It declined in the first quarter as well. That might be incorrect. It definitely declined in the second quarter. And we provided guidance that it would decline in the third quarter as well on our Q2 earnings call. The thing to understand there is that we don't source different budget dollars for our third-party business and our direct-to-consumer business. When we go to Kraft or General Mills or Anheuser-Busch, we're sourcing advertising dollars for them for offers, and those offers are distributed democratically across the IPN. And so what ends up happening is that when we're growing the third-party network very quickly in terms of the audience or the number of redeemers who are on it, they consume those offers very, very quickly. And so that leaves less redemption opportunities for our direct-to-consumer customers. And so that dynamic means that there's just less opportunity, there's more mouths to feed. And because we're seeing so much growth on the third-party side, the redemptions are getting consumed there, leaving less opportunity for D2C consumers. Over time, the supply of advertising dollars follows the audience, and so we expect to catch up with the supply. Obviously, if we had more offers, it wouldn't be a problem, right? The D2C consumers would have enough to eat as well. But because we're still seeing so much growth on the third party side, we're sort of having to run hard to catch up and keep up. It's still resulting in very, very healthy growth in our overall redemption revenue, which is largely what we're focused on. But it's helpful when you go through this and just understanding the nuances of sort of why is that, what is actually happening. You know, we are focused on growing redemption revenue as a whole. This is just a graphical representation of our key drivers of redemption revenue. You can see on a year-over-year basis, our total number of redeemers is up meaningfully from 5 million to almost 14. Within that, the redemptions per redeemer are down from 9.5 to 6. The reason for that is primarily a function of mix. So direct-to-consumer redeemers are power users, right? They are professional savers, so to speak, in the sense that they are very deal motivated. They use the app because they are effectively the digital version of coupon clippers. Every time they go shopping, they're looking for an opportunity to save money. They're always checking the app. They're always looking for where there's offers. They're frequent users. Third-party users are not the people that necessarily are the coupon clippers of the world. They're people who are shopping, they see the offers, they utilize them, but it's not something that they're doing in the same way that a direct-to-consumer does. So as a result, you're always going to see a disparity in the redemptions per redeemer for D2C consumers versus third-party. Revenue per redemption was down slightly. This is also primarily a function of mix. I'll walk through that in a second, but we'll come back to that in just a moment. This is that same chart, just focusing on third-party redemption revenue. So here you can see that our number of redeemers is up substantially in the second quarter. Just to explain this a bit more, in the second quarter of 2023, we had rolled out our Walmart product only to Walmart Plus customers. We rolled out the Walmart cash offers to all consumers with the Walmart.com account in September of 2023. And so from a year-over-year basis, it's a very, very large jump because of that dynamic. Redemptions per redeemer were down slightly, but broadly flattish. This is mostly, in our opinion, a function of the fact that the year-over-year base was largely Walmart Plus users who are very online. When you expanded more to Walmart.com, you get folks who are using with slightly less frequency. So that's probably the dynamic there. You'll see that our redemption revenue per redemption here was up. This is primarily going to go up over time due to inflation, right? Because again, the redemption fee is tied to MSRP, right? So if MSRP goes up over time with inflation, you would expect the redemption fee to also go up. It can also move around quarter over quarter due to just variations in offer mix. So again, let's say in one particular quarter, I'm just again making this up, Kraft decided to promote $1 mac and cheese boxes. Well, those are going to have us low redemption, and we've sold a ton of volume of those. Well, those are going to have very low redemption fees. Let's say the next quarter, Kraft decided to promote $4 shredded cheese packets instead of the mac and cheese boxes. Well, those are going to have higher redemption fees. It's purely a function of offer mix. So that piece can be volatile, but it's also seasonal, I would add. But over time, accounting for that or normalizing for that, you would expect slow/low increases driven by MSRP growth. This little table on the right also just shows the schedule of some of the third-party publisher launches we've had. The ones we've announced, but have not yet been launched as of Q2 were Schnucks, which was a Midwestern grocer that I referred earlier, and then Instacart. This next slide walks through these metrics for the D2C business. So here you can see that redeemers were down slightly. Redemptions per redeemer were down as well. The redemption revenue per redemption was up. Let me just start with redemption revenue per redemption. This goes back to the point I was making earlier with the overall number, which showed, going back here, you can see that that was down to 92 cents from 95 cents. This was not a function of the redemption fee actually going down on a like-for-like basis. Rather, it's again a function of mix, because as you can see, the redemption revenue per redemption went up on both the third-party side as well as the D2C side. Simply, it's a function of there being less D2C redemptions, so the mix factor drove the overall redemption fee lower. You might ask, well, why is the D2C redemption fee higher than it is for the third party? And the reason for that is, again, surprisingly, mix. We earn the same redemption fee for a single product, no matter where it's redeemed. So again, if that laundry detergent example in the beginning was redeemed on Walmart, we would still earn 80 cents. If it was redeemed on the D2C app, we would still earn 80 cents. The reason why the redemption fee here is so much higher on D2C versus on the third-party side is simply because you're going to find a lot more higher MSRP items on the D2C app than you do on the Walmart app, right? There's a variety of general merchandise that you can buy on the D2C app that might be $50 or $60 or $25, and that dynamic skews the redemption revenue per redemption up. As we add more general merchandise publishers or whatever, you would expect that to push up the redemption fee on the third-party side too. Again, driven by mix. Now, let's spend another moment just talking about why is the D2C business seeing pressure? And this is a function of the fact largely that we, again, obtain offers for the entire IPN, right? And then those offers get pushed out to all nodes on the network all at once. Last year, so 2023, we had a banner year in our D2C business. And this was because we were about to launch Walmart. So our sellers were out there in the market telling everyone, hey, we're about to launch a Walmart. You've got to give us a lot more offers. Those offers came on, because our sellers did a good job, faster than our redeemers as part of the Walmart launch came on. And so you had all this great offer sitting on the network, but not enough demand. Demand here, I mean redeemers. And so the D2C redeemers were able to have a feast, right? They were able to find way more offers than they normally would. They were able to redeem with very high frequency. And you actually saw really, really strong growth last year, kind of north of 20% on the D2C side in the first 3 quarters of last year. And then as the Walmart launch occurred and it rolled out to all Walmart.com accounts, you saw those offers get more distributed across the entire network. And so we are lapping a very hard comp. We're also seeing incredible growth on the third-party side, which is then, of course, just leaving less offers for D2C, as I explained earlier. And then maybe one last point here. You can also see the redeemers are slightly down. What we've said is that we hope to keep our redeemers like more or less flat on the D2C side. The reason they're down, though, is because if we feel like there's not enough inventory, right, for the D2C redeemers to basically redeem all they can, it doesn't make sense for us to spend marketing dollars to retain or to acquire new D2C customers in the short term, because we're just going to be cannibalizing the third-party side, where there's so much demand there that they're going to do it without any cost, right? So in environments, D2C sort of functions as a safety valve or a release valve, where if we have more offers than redeemers, you'll see D2C grow like crazy, right? Because that they're the ones who want to redeem, right? They'll take whatever you can give them. And we have a lot of history in how to drive growth in this business because it's all we did for many, many years. However, if offers if demand is stronger than supply at any point in time, then you're going to see D2C sort of be the release valve, right? Because that'll be where the flex can occur. So hopefully that provides a little more context. This next slide just shows our margins. You can see that our gross profit is in the mid 80s, broadly constant. One thing to just note here on gross profit in terms of how the model works, there's a couple of items in our cost of goods sold. One is our technology cost, right? Our cost to serve the product, right? So our hosting costs, et cetera. The second is going to be our revenue share, right? So with our retailer publishers, we will provide them with some revenue share. We don't disclose the exact amount, but we will provide them with some revenue share. So of that 80-cent redemption fee, our retailer publisher partners will get a portion of that, and that shows up in our cost of goods sold. What we have said is that with Walmart, who was the inaugural partner for the IPN in 2020, launched, signed a deal in 2021, et cetera. The way that the distribution cost was given to them is not via revenue share. It was through a warrant agreement. So Walmart has the right to purchase 12% of Ibotta's common equity with the strike price around $70. You can look in our filings to see details on this. And that was effectively the distribution cost for Walmart. Theoretically, we could do another equity arrangement with another retailer partner if we wanted to, although we probably would be unlikely to. Instead, what we would tend to think of doing is this sort of revenue share where they would get a cut of the 80-cent redemption fee. On the right-hand side, you'll see just some of our operating expenses. Just to be clear here, you'll see this in the filings as you go through it or in the supplement, but non-GAAP in the context of gross profit and operating expenses basically just exclude stock-based comp. We do that purely for comparison purposes. Obviously, from a valuation perspective, feel free to choose to treat SBC how you will. But there were some one-time stock-based comp effects, particularly in Q2 at the time of the IPO. So you'll see that when you look at the filings, you'll see that we generated a net loss that was due to, again, one-time stock-based comp dynamics related to the IPO, both with regards to employee stock-based comp, but also relating to the Walmart warrants, which I discussed earlier. If stripping out stock-based comp, you can see that we saw meaningful operating leverage in our business. Non-GAAP operating expenses as a percentage of revenue declined by about 800 basis points year over year. This is because in general, we have been growing our revenue quite a bit faster than we've been growing our operating expenses. Within sales and marketing, which has come down, if you look at that over a few years, you'll notice that that has come down meaningfully. The reason is because a lot of that sales and marketing expense has historically, and even today, goes towards our direct-to-consumer business. Direct-to-consumer requires CAC, or customer acquisition cost. It requires CAC for acquiring new customers. It requires CAC to retain customers. With our third-party business, there is no CAC, right? We basically get the distribution through Walmart's users. We don't have to pay for that besides our revenue share, or in the case of Walmart, a warrant agreement. So there's a very different sales and marketing intensity for our third-party business. And of course, that is the part of the business which is growing. R&D, while it declined year on a year-over-year basis, it's obviously the core engine of the company. We have, of our employees, approximately half of them are technology employees that work in software development. We have spoken quite some bit about our focus and energy and time that's spent on building out our AI and targeting capabilities, our measurement capabilities, our client analytics tooling, all of that will show up in R&D. And we intend, and we have communicated intent to continue to invest behind our product and technology. And then the last bit is G&A. There are some dynamics there where on a year-over-year basis, obviously we're a public company now where we weren't last year. By and large, you'll see that there'll be some public company. You will see that there's some incremental public company costs on a year-over-year basis.
Shalin, we've got about 2 more minutes for this portion, and then we'll do 2 minutes to wrap up and close it up.
Well done. So perfect timing.
All right.
So thank you all very much. Hopefully that's helpful. I know that there's some nuance there within some of the items I mentioned. I would encourage you all to check out our materials on the IR site, which walk through a lot of this. If you can as well, listen to our conference calls where we describe some of this. Hopefully that provides some additional context. And of course, I'm sure you'll still have lots and lots of questions. So we'll be happy to hopefully address those in depth when we meet next in December.
That's a great note. And we are going to be meeting in December. We're going to have Shalin present again. Actually, this time won't be a presenting. It'll be a Q&A. So it'll be office hours, in which everybody's invited. All the students are invited to come back and ask questions directly of Shalin. Also, we recommend that you write those questions in advance, and so you can prepare those your questions for him and send those to him. He's not going to address them in writing. Instead, he's going to address them on the office call. And then you can follow up with all your additional questions as well. The office call itself will be open. You'll have questions available. Any student can answer a question during the office hours. No professionals or industry professionals can ask those questions. So it'll just be for you, the students, and Shalin. We've got another minute to address any questions that you might have for either Shalin or me. So feel free to jump in, and we will wrap it up at 4 o'clock sharp.
Well, if we don't have any questions, I'm Stephen Bennett. I'm the advocacy board person. University relations and the Research Challenge fall under my board seat, but I've been the moderator the last 3 years. I was voluntold 3 years ago to moderate the Research Challenge. I enjoyed it so much. I've been coming back. Someone asked how we selected ibotta. It was my idea. And so thank you very much, Shalin, for being willing, and ibotta for hosting and taking all the time to spend with students, and in December when we circle back. We really appreciate it.
100%. And this is going to be a fun challenge this year with more opportunities to interact with Shalin. We're going to have opportunities to visit with ibotta for the winning teams as well. A lot more to talk about. We'll roll out some more ideas for you in the future. But for right now, we'll close it up and let you get registered in a short bit. I'll get that information off to you in the next day, as I said.
Hey, I had
Thanks
a
again,
question.
everybody. Yes, we still got a second. Go for it.
Hi there. My name is Fletcher Lippert. I'm from University of Colorado, Denver. I did actually reach out to you, Shalin. I don't know if that was appropriate, but I loved the PowerPoint. It would be such a great resource. I was wondering if me and my team could have access to it.
So I chose really because I could, only for regulatory purposes, share stuff that we've already shared publicly. So it should all be already available within our quarterly slides, which are on the IR site.
Awesome. I'll get right to that. Thank you.
And you can refer back to this video, which you'll be able to see if you're questioning any of those slides that you saw. You can look here first and then go to the IR site.
The only other thing would be that Peter, I'm not sure what the rules are around individual interaction or whatever. Technically, I'm not doing any calls aside from this before earnings. If I'm allowed to, I'm happy to do a couple outside, but I'll leave that up to you, Peter and Stephen.
All right. So one of the rules is that we won't have individual interaction with the subject company itself, the executives of the subject company. So you can read through the rules, and I'll provide more information about that in blurbs about what you can do as far as reaching out. Okay.
Great.
Awesome. Take care, folks. Have a great day. Happy Halloween. Enjoy your evening and your weekend.
Thanks all.
Bye for now.